Hey, it's me. It's you. Water's there. Pretty good. Roll it up. Recording. Ron, cameras are all good. Okay. Okay.
I'm good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's finally game week. I've said it a couple times already. College football is a little bit different than pro football or even high school football. You don't get jamborees. You don't get preseason games. So, myself, our coaches, our players, I'm sure our fan base are all excited, to see our football team. We're excited to see where we're at. Excited to see a lot of these new faces. A lot of the guys on the team that we might know about, but we haven't seen them play in a Ram uniform yet. We haven't seen them make great plays for the Rams. We haven't seen them maybe make a few mistakes, and I think both will happen in this first game. It will be an exciting game, obviously a rival game against CU in Denver. We know the magnitude of this game, what it means for both universities, what it means for this state. We're excited to be a part of it. I love the neutral site atmosphere. Both fan bases, both student bodies are there. It's a unique atmosphere that not a lot of teams get to participate in across the country, and we're fortunate enough to be a part of one of these games. We're looking forward to the game. We know it's a big, big challenge. They've got a lot of returning players. They've got some experience, a lot of senior leadership on their football team. And, they want to make a mark and have a successful season this year, as we do too. So it's going to be a big challenge. We're going to have to play extremely well on both sides of the ball. But we're looking forward to Friday night at 6 o'clock.
Who was this or guy listed at quarterback?
What did I put? I don't. Paul, what'd you do, Paul? So the Or guy's got 3 votes and everybody else got 1. Yeah, two votes. Okay. Secret weapon. Yes. Yes.
What was the reaction of your quarterbacks when you met with them yesterday, I believe? Where they are.
Well, they're all great kids, and really all of them already knew the way we've been repping things since the last scrimmage. Just wanted some confirmation for myself. I didn't want to really tell them until I put them in some situations and wanted another couple practice and to confirm what I thought. But, the competition's been great. They've been great to each other. They've been great teammates. They both have leadership skills their own way. And like I told each of them, you still got to prepare. You're the starter. There's no guarantee that it's going to stay this way. There's no guarantee it's not. You got to prepare every day like you're starter, and that's what I expect out of that room. And that's what I expect I'll get out of those 3 kids.
What do you gain by not disclosing who it is?
Well, I might gain an extra hour of Jim Levitt, trying to find tape on Fatone Bauta, or Jim Levitt watching Dorman High School to see what kind of player Colin Hill was in high school. Was he a guy they ran? Was he a drop back guy? It might gain. If you go research, coaches will watch hours and hours of tape, and you're trying to find out who's playing what position, then you're trying to find out everything you can about that individual. I know that's how I am, and that's how I know defensive coaches I've been around. When we don't know who a starter is in the past, you're watching anything and everything to try to get some sense of what kind of player is this, what kind of athlete is he, what kind of arm strength does he have, is he going to be able to make the field throws, is he an intermediate passer, can he stretch the ball downfield? So I would think they're going to watch a little bit more tape, but it's not to gain some big advantage. It's just guy runs a blitz 1 or 2 times, we're going to spend time. He might have ran it once or twice, but it gives we're going to spend time working on it. Or offense or defense, or you see somebody line up in some crazy formation once a week, then you better have a plan for your guys. So that's the reason.
How much did you feel like you knew about CU's offense going into this game from last year? And then how much of it do you expect to change with Chiaverini as their co-offensive coordinator now and him coming from Texas Tech?
Well, I really, I can't answer that. I can go off of, what I read. I read stuff just like I'm sure they do. You know, they're going to probably be not more, similar to what they were last year. A lot of 11 personnel, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 back. They like to spread you out. They like to run the 1-back power. They like to run the stretch play. They like to run RPOs. The one thing that maybe we would see a little bit different is maybe a little bit more up-tempo constantly, where last year it was a lot of times it was after explosive play. They went no huddle, but maybe it'll be more the Texas Tech speed. But we'll be ready to adjust. We go no huddle in practice against our guys, so they practice lining up fast all the time. But I think they're still going to be. Their tight end's a good player. They've got good backs. Lindsey's a very good back, but they got 2 or 3 other guys that are good runners. They've got receivers that are veteran guys that are going to be able to stretch the field. So, I think they'll continue to do what they've been doing. I think maybe the tempo will change a little bit, would be my guess, but I don't know.
Mike, whoever you've chosen among those quarterbacks, did they do the things you said needed to be done as far as just taking command of the huddle, making the right plays, getting you into the right plays, doing all those?
Yeah, I thought all 3 have done a nice job of that, of really improving throughout camp, being, a lot of what you talked about right there are some of the leadership qualities I look for, and a lot of them have done that in their own way. I feel very confident with all 3 guys that you could go out and be productive offensively with them. I just feel better with one at this time.
Would you say that he won the job or won the job by default?
Well, he won the job. He won the job, did a nice job, and won the job.
How do you counter their experience? You've got a young team. As a coach, how do you counter a team that's got that kind of experience with a squad like that?
You're dealing with young people, and excitement of the game gets bigger and bigger as we get closer to the game. Our job as a coach, my job as a head coach, and our assistant coaches is every day realizing that we got to control what we can control and focus on our plan. All right. Yes, they're going to play a 3-4. They're going to run certain dogs. They're going to be in 11 personnel, 3-by-1, 2-by-2. But we got to understand what we're doing. All right, if we understand what we're doing and understand the plan, we're able to play fast and focus on our job. I want these young guys, or really even the veterans, to every play to realize that their job, is why we're going to be successful. Take that kind of pride in doing your job and understanding what you're supposed to do in your job and your technique and execute it. Every play, my job could, be the difference in us being successful in this play. And if I executed it or if I didn't, all right, line up the next play, and that next play is just as important as the last play. So, focusing on the little things of the fundamentals of football and letting them know that's going to be the difference in winning and losing, execution.
Did the rivalry surprise you at all last year? I mean, obviously you played and coached in some big rivalry games, but coming into it, was the lead up or the game or the atmosphere maybe something you didn't expect?
No, it was like a rivalry game. The one thing, I've heard that they didn't, really care about playing us too much. They really acted like they cared when they won the game. So, I think that's a rivalry game. We're excited about playing the game. The fan bases are there, the student body's there. It's a lot of excitement. You obviously hear about the game from our fan base when I travel around the state and talk to certain groups that they one of the questions there. Every question I have is about the CU game and the rivalry, and we're just glad to be a part of it. We're looking forward to the challenge because it's going to be a big challenge, and but it's like a lot of rivalry games I've been a part of in the past. A lot of passion. Got both sides play really hard, and anything can really happen in a rivalry game.
Is it at all similar to Georgia Tech?
I don't know. I was part of 20-plus Georgia Tech games. This is year 2 for me. So, but
Different leagues.
Yes, it is different leagues. I mean, it's we're playing Colorado, and I work at Colorado State, and we want to beat Colorado, and Colorado wants to beat Colorado State. So, I mean, I don't think anybody would dispute that, and we know we both got to go out there and execute and play well and play sound on both sides of the ball. It's one game out of 12, okay? But you're not naive enough not to say that it's an important game. It's an important game for our fan base. It's an important game for the state of Colorado. It's an important game to get off on the right track, all right? So you got all those emotions and that it's a big game, and that's what you ought to want to play in. So I'm excited that it's the first game. I'm excited for our guys to see how they respond, and then we'll go from there. Whether we play well or don't play well or find a way to win or don't find a way, we'll adjust, and we're going to come in and meet on Saturday and get ready for the next opponent. But, we want to win this game, and, because it's the next game and it's an in-state rival.
Do you have concerns with facing an experienced quarterback and against a young pass rush, young secondary?
Yeah, I got a lot of concerns about a lot of inexperience on our football team. Their quarterback has played a lot of football, and there's one thing that no matter how big a guy's arm is, or how much foot speed or mobility he might have, there's one thing a quarterback can have over all that I think gives him advantage is experience of living through live reps, of making decisions, of playing in that game, of the environment, understanding the pressures of the situation and not being rattled. And I don't think he'll be rattled at all. I think he'll go out and perform really well, and he'll understand I know they've got a new co-offensive coordinator, but we expect the schemes to be relatively similar. I mean, he's going to understand what they're doing. He's going to understand, having gone against this defense before, having gone against a 3-4 in practice, he's going to understand the nuances of a 3-4. He's going to understand different coverages. He's going to understand different looks. We got to hope he misses some. It's like I tell our guys all the time, open don't count. He's got to stay out and hit them. But, we got to rally down. We got to play leverage. We got to keep them in front of us. We got to cover down from a D-line perspective, and we got to make them earn it. We got to play great red zone defense. We got to play great when we got a chance to get them in third down, and hopefully it's third and long, and get them off the field. But, they're going to make some plays. But we can't let one play affect the next play. We got to line up and play again.
How do you balance your excitement with the talent that you think that these young guys have and what you've seen in practice, and how much that can overlap what mistakes they will probably make at some point in the game?
You've got to do that with your game planning, that you don't try to win with the pencil, so to speak. You can't be so generic that it makes it easy for CU to attack us offensively or defensively, but you can't make it too hard on your guys where they can't play fast. So that's what this week's about, what the last 2 weeks have been about. What can we do where we can play fast? If our guys don't understand, or they're so, a basic check, then we're going to have issues. So that's our job as a coach, not to get them too complicated where they cannot play to what we think their talent level is. Now, don't get me wrong, we got some talented players. So does CU. They got talented players, and that's the struggle for a coach week in and week out is putting your talented players in position to make plays where they're comfortable.
How fine is that?
It's a real fine line, and it becomes, because you watch a ton of tape, and the way that tape's broken up and the access to tape nowadays, and so many people doing so many different things, you got to be careful, just speaking from an offensive perspective, of there's a lot of things you see work versus defense, but well, we could call it's everybody copies everybody. Okay, so you got to find what fits our identity. Well, this might look good, but is that us? Is that what we do well? So, there's a lot of things that are on that call sheet that sometimes I might tell that coach, oh yeah, we'll put it on there, but I know we're never going to call it because I don't think that's us. But we're trying to do a better job this year, just speaking offensively, of narrowing down what we're calling, when we're calling, just because of the youth. Now, I feel good about offensive line being able to handle adjustments, but the youth at receiver, and some of them are junior college kids, but just the inexperience of trying to do too much where just do enough where we got a chance to execute. Offense is about execution and putting yourself in position to, when they line up a certain way, of being able to execute and hopefully a big play.
How many hours have you, or do you think you'll spend looking at the tape to see you by the time kickoff rolls around?
Well, it was a lot. I can't even count. I mean, yesterday was 16. Yesterday, so that was just yesterday. So I'm not, and I've been in this morning. I actually told everybody we're not meeting as offensive staff. Go recruit. Go write letters. I said I want to sit in here and watch them some more. Just so you can get a feel, because really it's almost like a Thursday for me in a mindset. The plan's in, we're practicing the plan already. So I'm just kind of in my stages now where I just watch them. I'm not watching formation tape. I'm not watching down and distance. I'm watching more games to try to get a feel for how Coach Levitt's going to call a football game,
How seamless or smooth has been the transition back to Marty as defensive coordinator? And
I really think it's been pretty smooth. One is he was here in the transition and the change. He coached linebackers. So the linebackers, who are like a quarterback of your defense, still hear the same voice. And then a lot of the guys, the carryover guys, the ones that played in the 3-4 are playing for us, and then a lot of the freshmen last year that we signed that were under Coach Summers didn't play. So the new freshmen that are playing are JC guys. So it hasn't been, that big a deal. Now for some of the coaches, Coach Logo, Coach Fair, Coach Bryant, had to adjust to that change. But I think it's been as easy a transition as I could have hoped for. Anytime there's change, it's always a little bit difficult for guys. That's why I think continuity is important. But, one, he was deserving of it after interviewing. But, two, I like the fact that I was keeping continuity on the coaching staff, because, if we're going to be able to build something here, I believe we've got to have consistency within a coaching staff. We're going to have some guys leave, but we got to be able to try to keep guys year in and year out.
now it's switched to the 3-4.
I think it's helped us a little bit to be able to get some athletic bodies on the field. Now we need more of those bodies, and we need some. We still got to play with 3 D linemen. We need some more D linemen, which everybody does. I think it's good schematically what we do. And I think it's good for us offensively that we go against a 3-4 that blends to a 4-3, and you got to make adjustments. I think it prepares you better in the long run on the offensive side of the ball, and defensively I think you can be more multiple out of a 3-4.
Last year when you went into the season, you were trying to pare down your offense for a new system. Guys learned a new system. This year it's new guys learning the system. Are you further along in some ways, you feel? Are there more things that you feel like you do better?
Yeah, we're light years ahead of where we were last year. If you talk about the offensive line, if you talk about the tight end position, even though we lost 2 tight ends, but those, Danny and Nolan are 2 tight ends that were in the system last year. We're light years ahead, at the quarterback position, minus Colin, but Colin was here in the spring. We're light years ahead at the tailback position with Dawkins and Izzy Matthews. Receiver position, there's some new faces in there, some guys that didn't play a lot but played a little. That position group is probably catching up a little bit. But again, like I talked about, I believe last week, running back and receiver, where a lot of our new guys are going to play, are one of the positions that you can play early. They don't have to really understand what you're trying to do conceptually. They got to know where to line up and what to run and recognize a coverage, or running back is picking up blitz. But as far as the 5 linemen, the quarterback, the tight end, the fullback in our offense, now that's a little bit of concern with Prentice. We're light years ahead of what we're trying to do.
Things I noticed on here, Dalen Dawkins listed number 1 in kick returner.
Yes.
What's he bring to that position?
Well, you've seen Dalen run. He's fearless, and to me, a kickoff returner has got to be a guy that he's got to catch it, he's got to know the blocking scheme, and then he's got to stick it. And that's what Dalen does. He's gonna see the hole, and then he's gonna hit the hole full speed. There is no dancing on kickoff return. Now, he's 175. I am a little worried about him being back on kickoff is where you take some shots, but it seems like 99% of the time, out here people kicking in the end zone anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
About Ruiz that he takes over as your punt returner?
Well, it's the ball security, being able to field punts. And Ruiz is a guy that's a slot for us. You got to be brave, which you got to be brave in the slot. You got to have some short area quickness, catching punt returns, and that's what Ruiz has.
Is he back all the way from the injury?
Yeah, he's out of the brace now. He looks,
A couple weeks ago.
That's week by week. He's gotten a little bit more confidence, and I feel confident with him going out there and playing in the game.
Christian not listed here. Is he not going to be able to
What,
play
I
this
only
game?
put 2 deep down?
What's that?
Did I only put 2 deep
There's
down?
like 4 nose tackles, and he's not one of them.
Well, he's going to be there, and he'll who the 4?
Looking good, Jackson, Foster, Nunez. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble.
No, I don't. No, he's going to dress, and we expect him to play.
How many are you going to take this game?
I mean, we're going to
How many you
take.
get a suit?
Well, it's a non-conference game. You can travel we're going to travel the whole team except for some guys that are ineligible, and then possibly some walk-ons that came out when school started. But everybody that was started when camp started will go. We won't. Some of them will be jersey only. Some will go Friday to the hotel. Some will come up Saturday, the day of the game. We did a preliminary just this morning in the staff meeting, and we were at 74 going to the hotel, and that might get trimmed down a little bit. They did, it's non-conference, and we really could travel as many as we want, but we're at 74 right now.
Braylon's not on the depth chart, but you don't have a nickel listed. Is that
That's correct.
possibly why?
That's correct. Yes.
Is he still your?
Yes. Yes.
You talked about the game-by-game approach, and obviously week 1 it's an important game. But last year you guys opened up with Savannah State, so what's been different about going into this game through a fall camp compared to last year leading up to Savannah State? Just the overall feeling, the way you guys have been working?
To be honest, nothing in the approach of how we do things. We're focused on us and getting better as a team, getting better as offense and defense and a special team unit, getting better individually every day as a player. I think that's how you've got to approach day in and day out as a football team and as a football player and as a football coach. I want to improve every single day. And that's how you win football games. It's not the opponent, it's how you handle yourself and your responsibilities day in and day out. Now, that's my philosophy. Does 18 to 22-year-olds, buy into that totally? We're working on that and trying to get them to understand the importance of the opponent does not matter. It's, success is defined in yourself of how you go about your work every single day, and only you know that. That's what we try to get across to our guys. Now, is there more excitement in the air? Maybe a little bit, but they were excited last year to play the first game. You're always excited for the first game. Now I know the fan base is more excited. I know, both fan bases are excited for the game. We're excited that it's on national TV on ESPN because I'm excited we get a chance to get our brand out there. That helps in recruiting. Even though it's Friday night and most guys will be playing football, but we'll be on TV and people will see Colorado State Rams. But as far as the feel, we go about it the same way. We go to work every day, and that's what I'm trying to build here. Is that it doesn't matter, whether we're playing a game, whether we're in the off season, whether we're in spring training, whether we got a week off and we got study hall that week. We go to win every day, work extremely hard.
Which better do you feel about your kicking game, Wyatt Bryant in particular, going into this season?
I feel comfortable with Wyatt. You talked about it a little bit last week, or somebody asked a question about Wyatt. He's worked extremely hard. We've had, there's some competition there with Tavis being signed, but the one difference I can, say in watching Wyatt kick extra points and field goals is the trajectory on his ball. The ball's getting up faster. Now he hadn't been 100%, but last year some field goals were blocked or missed And a lot of times we say it was a protection, but quite frankly, he was kicking some low kicks. But I'm really been impressed how he's getting the ball up. Hayden Hunt has been really punting the ball extremely well. We know he was a weapon last year. We got to adjust to some different schemes we're doing in special teams. Special teams always worry, especially in game one. You see, if you're watching game one, first week across the country, you see, a lot of mistakes, offensive, defensively, and sometimes a special team mistake costs you a ball game. But we've worked extremely hard on it. We dedicated a lot of time. We got to go out there and do our jobs that we've been coached to do. But we're going, we play some young guys in those spots too.
This is playing stronger Wyatt this year because he's listed as your kickoff guy too ahead of Braxton. Have you seen him add a little bit?
That's an or, right?
It's an or.
That's an or. And then Tavis has got a little bit of an injury too. Tavis probably would have been the guy. His leg there seems to be more pop on the ball. I'm not, basically I look to see if it goes through, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I made a 52-yarder or something the other day and into the wind on one of our 1-minute drills. He says it was 53. I think it was 52. But I see a confident guy out there. I see a guy that the ball, you could tell he's worked extremely hard at his craft. And, he knew he has competition coming in, and he didn't shy away from that, which was good to see.
Have you changed anything game management-wise with your staff as to who's going to be where, doing what, or you pretty comfortable with it?
No, I'm kidding. Offensively, Coach Friend will be up. We messed around with a little bit that last year. No, Coach Friend's down. Excuse me. I said it backwards. Coach Friend is down. I believe a line coach, even though he's the coordinator, needs to be with his guys. They need to be. There's a lot of drawing goes on, a lot of communication, especially with what we do. Coach Cox will be up. We're still making a decision on Coach Letson. Coach Applewhite and Coach Whitted will be down. Defensively, Coach Bryant will be up. Coach Logo will be down, and Coach Fair will be down. Communication, I'll be, on both sides. Coach Friend will be able to talk to two different people. A guy that's telling him about the fronts in the box. Coach English will have the ability to talk to the guys upstairs and switch over and talk to a guy that's watching his position specifically. And then, I have a third button to talk to special teams. So, yeah. Is that it?
That's it, all I have.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks,
Yep. All right, Terry?
Yeah.
I guess.
I think you went to look for you about your back.
No, he told me.
Okay, you guys ready? You ready, Coach?
Yep.
Okay.
Ready to go.
How confident do you feel about your offensive unit going into this game against what's a pretty experienced team?
Yeah, they're very experienced. They've they've got a lot of guys that are coming back as starters. Even there's a few guys that have started games before that really may not be starting for them. So they've got a lot of experience, and they're a team that schematically they're very well coached, and then they do it with a lot of talent, and they got a lot of size up front, and really their secondary, are very active players, and so we got our work cut out for us. We just got to continue to, I think a lot of times you go through fall camp and sometimes, you get so excited to play the game, and we still got 4 more practices to go to get better for CU. So we've got to continue to work and got our work cut out for us, definitely.
How much better do you feel about the offense that you can take into this game last year as opposed to what you were able to do, the opener of last year or even the bowl game a year ago?
It's better. There's no question about that. We have guys that are more familiar with what we're doing and understand what we're trying to get done, and that's a big plus for us. But it's one thing to know but we've got to challenge, with these guys athletically and their size and those type things. So we're not only going to have to know what to do, we're going to have to play well to have a chance against them.
So much of the talk is always of getting your 5 best guys on the field. Have you done that?
I think so. Right now with Goldish and Callender at the tackles and with Thurston and Fred at the guards and Jake at the center, that's been the best 5. All the way through camp. They kind of were pretty early, and then we kept some competition there, but that group's been the best group.
Does this team have an offensive identity yet, or do you feel like you have one, or is that still yet to be determined?
Well, I think sometimes when you go through camp, you try to install as many things that you can always go back on them as the season goes on, and sometimes you're kind of playing against your team a little bit, and I think we have an identity of what we want to be. I think number one is your identity is what can make you successful. One week that identity may be something different than it is another week. Maybe a different type of run, and maybe that the run game's not as big, but we know who we are, and I think back to your question you asked earlier, our players know who we are more now than maybe a year ago.
Well, how much does not having a fullback per se, maybe for this game, limit what you're going to do offensively, because that was such a big part of what you do? Well,
Adam had done a really good job in camp, and we hate it for him personally because he had worked so hard and done a lot of good things for us. But it's not going. I mean, we still have the ability to run the football without a fullback, and we still have played one back and done those type things.
How hard would it be for you to get Nolan reacquainted with maybe some of those tasks if he's the best option you have in plays that you might want a fullback?
Oh, well, Nolan's a good player. Nolan's he's a guy that he's played well for us at tight end, and he's really done a good job of becoming an in-the-line tight end guy, so you really don't want to get away from that, so to speak.
Josh Tupou, their defensive tackle, didn't play in last year's game. Do you guys as an offensive staff go back and look at what a specific player does maybe in previous years, or is it more about what they do at that position scheme-wise?
Well, the first thing you do when you watch the tape, you can tell that their defensive staff knows what they're doing. They're well coached, and really he kind of fits that. What they ask out of that position. So how much they're going to change, I wouldn't expect a whole lot. But I know he's a good football player for them, and I know they're excited to have him back, and he'll present a challenge for us.
Your specific concerns, their secondary, like you mentioned, is really good, very talented. You have a young wide receiver core that hasn't really been tested. Is there a certain concern there in that kind of matchup?
Yeah, there's concern there. They've got a good group of defensive backs, and we've got some guys that hadn't played as much. We do think we have some talented guys. They're just inexperienced at times, but they're going to get to go out there Friday night and see what they can do.
As a coach, how excited are you to see this talent that has impressed you, to see what it'll actually do in a game?
Yeah, it's exciting. You'd like to go into the first game seeing some of them before, but yeah, that's exciting. And you know, I mean, you practice 20. I mean, they've done the same thing. They've practiced 29 days. Both teams have. Both teams are ready to play someone else. It's a rivalry game. It's a big ball game. It's a game that's great for both universities, great for the state of Colorado, and I mean, it's exciting for a lot of reasons, but always, I think it's always fun to see some of the guys that you've recruited or guys that you have seen make a lot of improvement through the off season, and kind of see what they do when they get a chance. So that's exciting.
Has Marcus Wilson surprised you guys as an offensive staff? I mean, he switched over to wide receiver last year, but obviously didn't get to play at all. Has he surprised you, kind of the steps that he's taken from maybe even the start of spring practice until now?
He's improved so much, and he's a smart guy. He's got some football savvy to him. He can run. He's physical. Probably playing some DB helped him be more of a physical player. You know, so he's been a guy that's really improved from, you know, I'm trying to think when we moved it, if we moved him right before spring or in the middle of spring, but, you know, it was right into practice, and through spring practice, and then through, you know, on his own this summer, and learning the offense, and really through camp, he's really done well.
How excited are you to see, you know, Dalen and Izzy in year 2 in the system run behind this offensive line, even a guy like Marvin to get out there and show his stuff for the first time behind such a veteran group?
Well, I think Dalen Dawkins is, you know, you're excited about Dalen. You know, one reason he practices so hard, he works extremely hard, he does everything 100%. So you're excited to see him play always. And then Izzy and Marvin have done a good job of pushing Dalen, who is self-motivated, but they've done a good job of pushing him, and really you're excited to get to see all those guys play. I mean, there's a lot of hard work by the kids, by coaches, and you know, you go out there a lot of practices in a row, and that's kind of time to get to see them play, and hopefully we can play good enough up front where we give them a chance to do something. But this defensive front's really good, so we'll have to play well.
Zach Goldich has gone from left tackle to left guard to right tackle. How's he adapted to all that? Is this his best spot?
Well, like I tell him, I mean, that's only 6 feet difference from lining up one spot to the next. But you know, a lot of schools, a lot of places, you got a center and guard coach and tackle tight end coach. And I think it may be, you know, a little bit more difficult. You know, for us, it's one person, so they're hearing the same things. They're not hearing something different in one meeting room as opposed to the next, and you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I mean, if the further you get in football, you have to be able to play some multiple positions, and so that's not uncommon. I'm sure at times that, you know, guys want to, if they miss an assignment, they want to use that as an excuse. But it's not uncommon to have to play multiple positions, and that's a good thing. And he's done a good job with it all through camp. So he's actually played everywhere but center.
Anything else? Thanks, Will.
All right, guys. See you guys Friday night.
Goodbye.
One year I didn't have to stress over all that stuff, and so otherwise, it'd been doing it long enough that for me it's routine.
You worry more about the mental state of your young players than the physical. I mean, obviously they've physically earned their spot, but as we all know, something will go wrong in a game. Somebody will make a mistake. You more worried about how they're going to respond to it and how tough they are mentally to forget about that play and move on to the next?
I am, because that's the thing. You can only get it through experience, and it's going to come. It's got, we're probably 2, 3, 4 games in to where you'll probably be able to relax on knowing mentally where your guys are at. And I think right now that's probably the biggest concern is just how are you going to, and we try and preach, go to the next play, all those things, but it's still, they're young, and it is what it is. That's our job as a coaching staff, to try and keep them on task and remind them of it. But we're not going to play a perfect game. You never do. And there's going to be mistakes, and physical and mental, and that's really where you need your experience and how you bounce back from that stuff. And that would be, it's only going to come with time. But yeah, that's probably one of the biggest concerns.
So in that aspect, Kevin, Tyree are very important somewhat in this game to maybe keep them focused to task on hand.
Absolutely. They've been through it, so they know how to come back between series, and they know how to say, look, we're okay. We've been in games where we've given up a couple quick scores and everybody's come over and settled it down, and we end up in really good shape. And I'm counting on those guys to do those things. They've got to wear off on the younger, more inexperienced kids.
You're a Denver kid. You've seen regional football from virtually every angle. How do you view this rivalry?
Pretty excited about it. It's the in-state rivalry. I mean, even though you've got the border war and you've got Air Force, and there's nothing like this. We're not in the same leagues. It's just we're pairing up to play each other because we're the in-state schools, and it's exciting, and it's fun for me because I know the kids on both sides, both teams and those kind of things, and it's always easier to talk after the game and not so easy to talk before the game, and know a lot of the coaches, both, and it's like playing neighborhood football, and you want your neighborhood to be a little better than the other neighborhood.
Well, you're pretty much one of the guys who recruited some of their guys too.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. I know a lot of them.
How important is this game in the recruiting? Is it a big deal or not? Who wins it? Who loses it?
Yes and no. Yes, I think it is on the in-state kids a lot. But at the same time, we're just in different leagues and in different places. So some of that, might not matter as much, but it matters to me, and I think it matters, to the in-state kids that are being offered by both schools, and I know it means a lot to the fans and the towns that these schools are in.
What impresses you about Cepho when you watch him play, and just have you seen a growth in him over the years?
I have. I think they used to kind of restrict the field, so to say. They might have him work one half of the field or those kind of things, and that was at the beginning. And I've seen him, grow as far as how he's able to look at it and know when blitzes are happening and work the whole field and go to his second and third checks and things like that. And he's an experienced, player. He's grown, and it's, when we're not playing him, it's kind of neat to watch how he's grown when he goes and plays other people. But he's a very good quarterback, and they're probably really glad that he's back.
Has your defense learned enough over camp to where you can trick him, show him one thing, give him another? How far along are you with that?
We've been moving some guys around. So with that being said, I hope we're just crafty enough to give him some looks that, can confuse him. But at the same time, I can't jeopardize us being out of position because we're just, again, new enough. And it's a first game. I think that stuff comes a little bit. I think the first game, I'd rather us be in position, make sure we know exactly, where we're vulnerable or not, and don't jeopardize that.
Pass rush is something you guys have been looking for. You mentioned it as far back as media day. What have you seen out of that development over camp, and how are you guys going to go about doing that this year? Still
think at this time for us to get some pass rush, we have to pressure. I don't know that it's something that's just going to come real easy for us yet. So with that, you know, we're going to have to stunt and do some line games and then pressure, and we got to pressure on different downs than just the downs they think the pressures are coming. I think that'll add to it, but we're still looking. And again, you know, first games are always games of adjustments, and we got to find out. You know, we might be better than we think we are, or we might be worse than we think we are. I don't know, but I know that we want it to be better.
How deep do you feel like you are in your defensive line rotation?
We're deep enough that we're going to roll them. We got to roll guys through. For sure, and with that, the depth that we're having to come up with isn't everybody in their normal positions, but there's enough of a depth there that we'll be able to roll guys.
Is Trey Thomas at 100%? Obviously, he was in red at multiple points during camp. Is he at 100%, and is that kind of why he took that starting job maybe away from Kyle?
Yeah, I don't know that he kind of had that in the spring, you know, and then when he got hurt, it's just a matter of time till they cleared him, and then him coming back, and they both have a significant role with the first group. If they're in base personnel or heavy personnel, Trey's my Sam backer. If they're in nickel, Kyle's going to be my Mike linebacker playing the pass, that kind of, you know, or 11, and we're in nickel. So with that being said, we've been looking forward to getting Trey back.
Do you feel like I know when you lost Deontay, there was that feeling that you lost some depth. You said so at the beginning of spring. Do you feel like you've made that up? You don't replace Deontay, but do you feel like you have depth there?
Yeah, we have depth. We're going to, at least through those two positions, we're going to be able to roll 3 guys for sure, and hopefully a fourth. The fourth being a little bit limited, but we'll be able to roll 3 guys through those 2 positions. And they've been working at it to where they've played both Mike and Will. And you know, honestly, in a game, I don't know how much more you can play everybody anyways, but I have enough there that they'll stay fresh. Good? All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. You got it.